Hi, everyone. Welcome to Work in Progress podcast, where we talk about how to get ahead in your work, in your career, and in life. And today, we're going to discover and uncover what it is to be an entrepreneur. What is the entrepreneurial mindset and how we can finally start making our dreams, our goals, and how to finally act on this and reach them. Hi, Stefan. How are you?
Hey, Vlad. Good to be here.
Awesome. I'm so excited to have you here in the Work in Progress podcast in our new episode. That's amazing. I will be super open and honest. I've wanted you to come here since it was the first time when I saw the musical. When I saw you on stage, I'm like, okay, so this is the guy who built this. I want him to be our guest in our podcast. And now finally it's happening. I'm so happy about this. So welcome. Happy to have you here.
My pleasure.
Can you tell us a little bit about your own journey? How did we ended up here in Dubai? When did you move? What did you build? How was it?
First of all, thank you for the opportunity. As you can hear, I'm French. I'm from the beautiful city of Paris, where I was born and raised. I'm now 42. I'm an entrepreneur. I've been creating companies for the past 20 years or so, technology and entertainment. I've failed many times, but I had a few good adventures, so a few successes, including Ametix that I co-founded in France. It was a consulting firm that I sold with my partners to Groupe La Poste, which is the French postal company. We had 500 people and we sold it in 2017. Then I created Excelsior, another consulting firm. Sold, I had 200 people. And then COVID happened and the lockdown happened. And the president of France, Emmanuel Macron, decided to shut the borders of France. And with my wife and kids, we got scared. So we said, where can we go? Because we don't want to be locked down in Paris, not knowing where we could go or not go. So we decided to flee, and we decided to come to this amazing place, which is the UAE. We barely knew the UAE with my wife. We spent 5 days the month before the Jumeirah Al Nassim. And so we decided to spend some time here. And for 3 months with my wife and kids, we had the best time ever during the worst time ever on the planet for everybody because it was COVID time. And because Excelsior was growing at some point, I had to come back to France. So I told Jennifer and the kids that we would come back. So I swore them, I said, we will come back to this heaven on earth place. So this was 2020, 2021. And then at Excelsior, I decided to focus my life on the UAE and how could I come back here. So I did many offsites, with my teams. And after a couple of years, I sold Excelsior and I relocated here in 2023. And the company who acquired us, it's a listed company in France. They trusted us with building their branch here in the region. So I opened Excelsior Middle East. We did some business for a year. And then after 1 year here, I resigned because I said to myself, what can I bring to this amazing country? With all the humility, what can I bring? They have the tallest skyscraper in the world. They have the best schools, the best hospitals. What can we bring? Because I want to give back at some point. I said, I want to give back. And they had many things, but they didn't have a musical. So I decided to stop what I was doing, to dedicate myself to produce with Universal Music the first musical in the history of the Middle East, Once Upon a Time in Dubai. So this is, in a nutshell, my story. Because I like to do many things, I also was appointed by the French administration, president of the French Tech, and the job is to connect French and UAE tech companies. And so I did those two activities for the past 2 years and a half now.
Wow. Okay. Interesting. So I knew some parts, but now I'm learning something new. Okay, great. So can you explain a little bit? Tell us a little bit more. So you built several companies. I counted 3.
Many more.
Many more. Okay. So,
but there were many failures. I only talk about the success.
Okay. Okay. So you built several companies. what they were about? Was it you said consultancy like in tech or in management? What was it about? Because of course we will come back to the musical part. It's a very interesting shift, but what was the path before?
So most of the companies I've sold in France were consultancy firms, tech consultancy firms. So basically, you have experts working for you, PO, UX, web developers, data scientists, and they go to work for AXA, Google, or whatever company to produce a certain results. And this is kind of a classic IT company in Europe. So I decided to spice things up. So I organized hackathons. It helped me recruiting, hiring developers. I did some big, fairs, trade shows. I organized concerts with famous superstars, and the idea was to remove the dust out of this kind of company, because placing consultants can be really boring and tedious at some point. So I decided to do something modern with an old job, and I had a lot of fun. And so all of my life, I always tried to make things fun, even if it was not necessarily the case, like creating an IT company.
In a way, we are like remote colleagues, because you help like to place people to deal with HR. And my main job outside of the podcast is also being an HR consultant, where we help companies to design HR systems. Very interesting. Okay, great. And then, so you decided to move from consultancy to completely, like, to take the risk and to shift it completely from consulting to...
Not 100%, because before those two companies, I was fortunate enough to co-produce a musical in France that I started called Robin Hood. It was a quite successful musical that attracted more than like 800,000 people. And played in France, Belgium, and Switzerland. So I had a small experience at the time, and I always wanted to go back to this industry that I love, the entertainment industry. And so whenever I could, I decided to go back to it, and then that's how Once Upon a Time in Dubai happened.
While you were telling this story, like the top question that like pops up in my mind is, how do you find the courage to do this? Like, I understand someone who wants to, like me, when I was a 20-year-old, I wanted to build my career, I wanted to start doing this. I understand someone who wants to join the like corporate world. You start as an intern, and here you have like the more or less clear or understandable path, at least to some extent. But when you decide to build your own thing, it takes a huge amount of courage. So where did this courage coming from? What made you become an entrepreneur?
So my friends often define me by the 3 Ds: being a dreamer, daring, and driven.
Okay.
So dreamer, it's important to have a dream in your mind, and you have to put, some deadlines to make it a goal. Then you have to be daring. Otherwise, if you don't dare, then nothing happens. And then you have to be driven. It's a bit harsh what I'm going to say, but to be a slave of your dreams. Otherwise, it doesn't work. When you came home, a couple of days ago, I showed you something that is so important in my life, and I will share it with your friends today. This is something that has changed my life, and maybe it will change yours as well, that I've learned from Brian Tracy, one of my mentors. And this is, I think, the best way to stay driven in your life. The thing is called the life plan.
Okay.
So your question was, how did you get to do this musical? It's really easy. Even if you had like 140 people working on it, first musical in history in this region, in a country where I don't know anybody, basically. But I've always been driven, and I've always stayed focused, and it all comes down to what we call the life plan. So what is the life plan? The life plan is every first day of the year, January the 1st of every year, basically, you take a spreadsheet and you write all your goals, 5, 10, 15 goals that you want to achieve this year. Those have to be SMART goals, achievable, goals. And then, so that's the first part of the job. Second part of the job, you have to read this list every day. And I guarantee you, I promise you, by the end of the year, 90% of them will be accomplished. I cannot necessarily explain how, but it will happen. I'm a strong believer in the law of attraction. So basically, when you have all these goals first written, you send, I think, a message to the universe. And then when you read it every day, it makes you focus on it. I always say that you cannot gain weight if you put yourself on the scale every day. Maybe on Monday, you're going to have plus 100 grams. Maybe on Tuesday, plus 200 grams. But after 3, 4, 5 days, if you put yourself every morning on the scale, you're going to say, no, it's not possible. My weight is, 80 kilos. It's not 85 or 86 or what. So it's called the cognitive dissonance. So at some point, you're going to say, no, I'm a guy whose weight is 80 and not 85. And it's exactly the same with your goal. So if your goal is to read 1 book per month and you read this goal every day, maybe you're going to skip it for once. Maybe you're going to skip it twice. But it's not possible that you will have read 0 books by the end of the year. So this list, it's not a bucket list, it's a life plan. If you write it, if you focus on it, if you read it, 90% of the things will happen, even the craziest thing. And just let me conclude. I didn't bring it only for the podcast. I have this list which is printed and which is with me at all times. And I try not to lose it. And it's the best way to keep it close to me. And so to keep my goals and my dreams close to me. And it's really, really important because it works. So even, I don't know, if you want to work with Beyonce or you want to buy a house in, Emirate Hills, for example, it can happen. You just have to write those goals and then you let the universe, does his job and everything will happen. So, yeah.
Wow. This is super powerful. I can definitely confirm that you really have it with you all the time because several days ago I saw it. We were not recording anything and you had it at the same place at your phone next to you. And it was the first time I have ever heard and I have ever seen this tool. And while you explained it, immediately, like so many thoughts about this that I have in my head. Can you tell us a little bit more about this? Because I can see you're passionate about this, so I want to use this passion. I, for example, as well, every January 1st, what I do, or actually I do it every December 31st, not the first day of the year, but 31st. I try to conclude what I have achieved during the year, and then I try to lay out some of the goals in a different manner, and I experiment with this all the time, trying to understand what I want to achieve, like whether it's a SMART goal, whether it's just a dream, whether it's a vision board. So how the life plan is different, for example, from the common thing like as a vision board, where you put different pictures of what you want to have somehow. How is it different?
So I would see the board more like a bucket list. So I also have a bucket list, but a bucket list is something for the end of your life. So bucket list is a global vision. So what you want to achieve by the end of your life, this is a global vision, and the life plan is more like a short-term thing. Mm-hmm. So the life plan will help you and guide you in the next weeks, in the next month, and something you can do quickly. The bucket list is something more long-term, but it's also really important. And the best way to achieve the long-term thing is to split it, to break it down in small objectives, which is basically the life plan. It's really also important to assess regularly where you are with your goals, and that's what I do. So every month I have a color, so it's a basic, it's green, orange, or red. And when it's green, it's checked, orange, not so, and red, it's not done at all. And so it helps you refocus on what you need to do. Sometimes some goals disappear. You can add 1 or 2 more, but that's it. You cannot, diverge too much from what you've written in the first place. It's funny, it's something that I haven't invented at all. The Egyptians used to do it. All the famous people, the CEOs, the celebrities use it. I've sent you some videos about Tom Cruise or Jim Carrey. And I love this story. I will share it with your audience today. So you all know Jim Carrey, the actor. When he was 20 years old and when he was basically broke, he was in Los Angeles trying to make it, he was at the Love Factory, but he was not famous at all. And he was desperate to get a gig or to get like a small part in a small movie. And he was going every night to Mulholland Drive and and saying, thank God, I'm an amazing actor. Thank you for all these great roles. And that was basically, visualization. But he did something really interesting. He wrote down a check, a $10 million check to himself for comedian services rendered. He put the check in his wallet, and he used to every day to look at the check and put it back. And after 3 years, actually before that, after a few months, he got a role in The Mask, the movie The Mask, and Ace Ventura. And after 3 years, he got a role in Dumb and Dumber, and he got paid $10 million, the exact amount that was written on this check. So that's basically the law of attraction, and it's so powerful, and it works. You're not going to reach 100% of your goals, but you're going to reach, I think, between 60 and 80% of the goals. And there's an Asian philosopher, Lao Tzu, who used to say, the one who doesn't have goals cannot reach them. And so everyone wants to do some stuff, but everyone has dreams, but we need to have goals more than dreams. Otherwise, you'll never reach them. One of my mentors, Brian Tracy, that I just mentioned, he has invented this place called an island called Someday Isle. Someday I'll be a comedian. Someday I'll produce a musical. Someday, and a lot of people go to this island where the dreams die. And my advice to you guys is to never go to the Someday Isle, and to do what you were meant to do. And it comes by writing exactly what you want in life, and when you have written it, how you achieve it. Jean-Paul Getty, you have 2 goals in life. The first one is to be clear about what you want, and the second one is how you want to get it. And that's just about it. Whether you want to be rich, whether you want to produce a musical, whether you want to move to the UAE, it's really, really magic.
I think when you describe this life plan, what I heard, and it's very different from what I usually do, is it has 2 steps. So one is you dream, and then you land these dreams into the goals by hitting the deadline or by measuring them, by making them real. But then the next step, I think, is very, very different and very unusual. Because I think if you go online, if you go into social media, a lot of people, you can find like tons of advice. Manifest your dreams, visualize, and so on and so on and so on. But nobody's talking about the next step, which is the how, or which is the how to make it a part of your everyday life.
Exactly.
And this is what you mentioned. And this is something that I find very, very interesting. So how do you land this? You say that you check it every
morning.
day,
So
every morning.
If you're a religious person, if you do your blessings in the morning, just after your blessings or before, when you're grateful for everything that you have, you just read the list. If you're not religious, and if you do meditation in the morning, you can check the list. It's important, to have a ritual to read the list every morning or every night, but every morning works as well.
So you make it a part of your morning routine, basically.
Yes, but it's really important because if you don't read it every day, then you're going to forget it, and then it will disappear from your life. And I'm going to take a dumb example, but if you want to work, I don't know, with Beyonce, for example, or with Jay-Z, or with I don't know who, and it's written in your list, and you read the list, it's going to be imprinted in your mind every day, and you're going to talk about that to all of the people you're going to meet along the day. So when you're going to have a coffee at 8 a.m. with your colleagues, you're going to speak about the Jay-Z thing, and then at 12, and then at 1 p.m. And so your dreams and your goals are in your mind at all time. And that's the law of attraction. And because you focus on it, and because you focus on losing weight, reading books, buying a piece of property, meeting Jay-Z and Beyonce, I don't know what, it's in your mind. And so because it's in your mind and you read it, then you attract, the elements of the universe get closer to you, and it really works. And I've experienced it with crazy things, like buying real estate, making money, meeting celebrities, moving to the other side of the globe. So it does work, and it's really reassuring because it gives you serenity because you have a plan. Otherwise, you don't have a plan, basically. Everybody wants to have a house, everybody wants to make money, but nobody knows how to do it and doesn't have an accurate plan about how to do. This is basically the roadmap of your life. And it's funny because when you think about that, we do this in a corporation. So when you work for your company, basically you have your yearly goal and you have the reviews and everything, but we don't do it in our personal life, and it's so important. So 99% of the people I know take more into consideration their professional life than their personal life. And I think that should be the other way around. So the life plan should be at the center of our lives. And what is really cool is that we each have a different goal in life or different goals, which means that we're not in competition with one another. Maybe you want to buy something in London and me in Dubai, so we're not in competition. So which is really good. And after once you have written this list, once you have read this list, you become a slave of this list. But it's a good thing because you become a slave of your dreams and of your goals. And then at the end of the day, you're an accomplished person. So when you have reached these goals that you have decided, nobody else, you're going to be obsessed with it, but you're going to reach them. And after, you'll have a big sense of fulfillment because you have accomplished what you were meant to do, what you were meant to be. And if you have 5 years to live, 3 years to live, I don't know how long, the longest possible, it's so important because life goes fast. And I believe we all have a mission to accomplish on this planet. And it's like if you're on an island, you have two kind of people who stay, on the sunbed for a week and they don't want to explore the island. And you have the second category who might spend 1 day or two on the sunbed, tanning, and then they're going to explore the island. And I believe strongly that we've been given a ticket to an island, and it's great to enjoy the sun and to have an ice cream on the beach, but it's also really important to see what's inside the island. And I think what's inside the island is what we were meant to be, and it goes through the life plan.
How do you stay motivated if you check this day after day after day? You look at this life plan, and then you see that most of it is in red. You are not there yet. How do you stay then motivated? Your dreams are flying away from you, and how do you keep and you not letting yourself like stay behind and stay down? How do you do this?
Personally, I think it's not possible. So if you do it consistently, so you have 365 days in a year, you cannot have 365 days saying, I was supposed to read a book and I haven't started a book. It's not possible. At some point, I don't know when, maybe it'll take 3 days, 4 days, 10 days, 50 days. But there's something that's going to operate in your mind. You're going to be disaligned with yourself. And so at some point, you're going to, make something happen. It's really important. So you're going to be uncomfortable at some point because you're going to be so far from who you're supposed to be. There are some things that are easier to reach than others. And there are some things you don't necessarily control on January the 1st. But, I think you provoke your chance, you provoke some stuff. You have to be to lead your life. And if you read your goals, then it's like if you're an explorer, you have to do some stuff. You have, the grocery list. You have to check everything. And I'm pretty sure it will happen. From my own experience, I don't come from a rich family or anything. I've created many companies. I've sold successfully many of them. I've just created, with the help of Universal Music, the first musical in the history of this region, knowing nobody in the region. And it all happens because I had a dream and I tried to stay focused. That's about it.
And how do you decide what lands in your life plan? So, for example, how Once Upon a Time in Dubai found its place in your life plan?
So I always wanted to do this. The tech things that I do was because tech is the new hype, and everybody's doing tech. You can make money easily. There's a lot of value there. If you take the 10 most valuable company in the world, you have 7 who belong to the tech industry. So tech was an alibi for me to make money, to make something. But I always consider myself as maybe not an artist, but someone who should do something in the artistic industry. And so that was kind of obvious.
Self.
Of course. And when I arrived in Dubai, that was so relevant because when you think about that, they don't have a show. Well, they have La Perle from Dragon. But 2 short stories that I'd like to share with you. The first one, I was in Paris for the winter break in 2023. We arrived in, summer 2023 in Dubai, and I came back to Paris. And I went to the Louvre. Maybe I'm sure you've been to the Louvre. museum. And next to the Louvre, you have Café Marly, which is an amazing cafe with pain au chocolat and chocolat liégeois. And I see 4 American ladies with a Parisian beret, the red beret that no real Parisian wears, actually.
Really?
Yeah, it's just...
It's only for the movies.
Only for the tourists, actually, and the movies. So it's a cliche. And so I saw these 4 American ladies. I see the beret, so I come to see them. Hi, ladies. I'm sure you came to the Louvre for Mona Lisa, right? For La Joconde. And you came to see Victoire de Samothrace and everything. And they stop and they say, no, you're mistaken, sir. We came because we saw the show. And I said, what are you talking about? What show? We came for Emily. And I said, who's Emily? Emily in Paris. I said, who's Emily in Paris? And they say, it's a great show on Netflix, number 1 show on Netflix. And by that time, I hadn't seen Emily in Paris. But they say, we came from Oklahoma City in Oklahoma because we've created an emotional bond with the character of Emily from Emily in Paris. And now we have the urgent need to live her life. And that's why we came to Paris. And I said, so 4 American ladies from Oklahoma came to Paris because they saw a TV show. Maybe we can do the same for the city that we love, for the city of Dubai and for the great country of the UAE. And that's how I was stuck. I said, that struck me. I said, we should do the same for Dubai. That was the first story. And second story, I talked to this project of a musical to a friend of mine called Papin, a guy from the south of France, from Marseille. When I talked to him about the musical, I said, you should come to the UAE. Came to the UAE and said, Stephane, I want to go to a palace right now. And I said, Papin, you're sleeping at my place. Why do you want to go to a hotel, to a palace? He said, just I want to talk to a concierge, the butler. I said, okay, let's go. So we went to the Fairmont de Palme. And we went to see the concierge. And it was a really nice lady. And Papin said, I'm from Marseille, south of France. It's my first day in the UAE, actually, in the whole Middle East. I want to see a show tonight. What can I see? And the lady said, you're a lucky man, Mr. Papin. This is your lucky day. And Papin said, why is that? And she said, because for you tonight, we have La Perle by Dragon, by Franco Dragon. You know La Perle, right? And he said, sorry, miss. I've worked with Franco Dragon half of my life. I knew Dragon before he passed away. And I'm pretty sure I know everything about this show, even if I haven't seen it. So what else do you have for me tonight in Dubai? And the lady said, that's it. We only have 1 show. And he said, okay, what about tomorrow? She said, no, we don't have anything but La Perle. Okay, what about Saturday? And she looked at her screen and said, okay, if you're staying until Sunday, we have Giselle at the Opera of Dubai. He said, no, you're wrong. I leave on Sunday morning. She said, then we have nothing for you. And then Papin turns to me and says, Stephane, you told me Dubai, 23 million tourists, 10 million residents, and there's only 1 show? That's a brilliant idea, a musical thing. We should do your musical. And then that's how Once Upon a Time in Dubai was born. So there's a deep need about that. It's not like it's not something that popped up in my mind saying we should do a musical. There's a deep need because you have millions of tourists who need to get entertained. Right now, if you type Dubai on Netflix or Disney Plus, you're gonna find Dubai Bling. You're gonna find House of Dubai. It's not necessarily 99% of the people living in Dubai. So I wanted to make a show that resembles much more to what we live as expats in Dubai. So the vision and the ambition for Once Upon a Time in Dubai. So we've played for 10,000 people in December and January. The idea is to export it internationally. So to go to London, New York, and my beloved city of Paris. And at some point, we'd love to be on Netflix or Disney Plus or Prime as a movie, not as a recorded musical like La La Land or Grease, because it is so important to tell the world how amazing this place is. And everybody believes I get paid by the government, but it's totally not true. I really believe this is the best place on earth, and I really believe the world should know more about it. So my vision 5 years from now is that maybe my family in Scottsdale or in New York, at some point, they will watch on Amazon Prime Once Upon a Time in Dubai, the movie, and they will say, oh, my goodness, we didn't know it could be that great. Stephane is talking about Dubai. He's been talking for years about Dubai, but we didn't know it was that great and so close to us, so close to to who we are. So we should give a shot to this great city. So let's go. And that's really my vision and my ambition. So I'm a newcomer. I've been here for only 3 years, but I really want to give back to this place. And it's funny because my friend Raza Jafar, Raza is one of the most important builders in Dubai. He created the Palazzo Versace that you know, and many, many other places. And Raza, which is one of my mentors, he came to Dubai like 40, 50 years ago, maybe more. I shouldn't tell his age. And he said, why do you want to do Once Upon a Time in Dubai? And I said, Raza, I want to do Once Upon a Time in Dubai because I want to give back. I want to give back. I want to give back. And he said this funny thing. He said, Stephane, why do you want to give back? You just arrived. And I must admit that we all want to give back to this city because it gives so much to us that we want to do whatever we can to give the fair share that we can to this amazing place.
I can totally feel it, because in a way I feel that even our podcast is a certain way to give back, because people can listen to us, watch us, find some questions, some answers to their questions that they pop up in their heads, and like to get better. So you described the idea of Once Upon a Time. That's great, but still I want to understand the mechanics over there. So what was the journey from the idea, when you understood the need, you understood there is a capacity for this, to the January 1st where you wrote it down in your life plan? So how did that happen? How do you generally understand that this idea, this dream, this thing that keeps popping up in my head has its place in my life plan, in my goals for this year? How do you land it? How do you make it real? So for example, if I don't know, let's say I have a dream, not the goal. So far it's a dream to open my own coffee shop and the bakery somewhere in the south of Italy. This is my retirement dream. Something like this. Okay, it's just a dream, but at a certain point in time, it should become a goal. So how do I understand when it's time to become a goal and how to land it?
The only difference between a dream and a goal is a deadline.
Okay.
So if you don't have a deadline, the shop in the south of Italy will never happen. The only way to make it happen is to put a date on it. The date can be a bit flexible, but if you say, I'd love to have a shop in the south of Italy, it's likely to never happen. But if you say, before 2032, December the 1st, I don't know, I will have this shop, it will happen. Maybe it will be December the 10th, maybe it will be a year after. But you made a promise to yourself, you made a commitment to yourself. And it's basically like losing weight. If you say, stopping smoking, for example. Stop smoking. So, for example, if you want to lose weight, everybody who's a bit overweight, like myself, we say we should lose some weight. But then, you have a good meal and you want to take an ice cream, and then you have vacation, and then you go to a wedding, and then so you have all the good reasons not to do it and not to. But if you have the commitment to yourself, and if you took a commitment to yourself saying, I have to lose 5 kilos this month, maybe you're going to make one exception, maybe two, but after a couple of days, you're going to say, no, it's not possible. It's written. It's really important this to be written.
Yeah.
And if possible, with your handwriting, because it's a promise that you make to yourself. So if you say, for example, by January the 1st, 2032, I'll have my shop in Lecce or Bari, in Puglia, in the south of Italy. At this date, it will happen. Unless you don't want it anymore, but it will happen. And to answer your question, how did I do? There were 1,000 reasons that Once Upon a Time in Dubai could never have been made. The idea then is to try to be unstoppable. So you just have basically to do whatever you can. And it takes a lot of energy, a lot of time. You put your ego, on the side. But I don't know, maybe 1,000 people told me that this show will never happen, including really high-profile people. But you don't listen to them, and you just go ahead. And people, were not taking me seriously, and everybody told me for two years and a half, good luck with Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, in your movie Once Upon a Time in. Even Jean-Claude Van Damme, my friend, he told me, good luck with Once Upon a Time in China. I said, Jean-Claude, it's Once Upon a Time in Dubai. He said, oh yeah, Dubai, whatever. So everybody's, because it's really like something huge, I think, that we've accomplished with Papin, Nazim, and Johan, when you think about that. And we had, I'm writing actually a book about that right now, but we had like 1,000 reasons why the show could never have been, produced or never happen on day one, on the first day of production. So, but I feel really blessed and privileged because it was an important project in my life, and it's just the beginning. So let's see where it leads us. But, you have to, the goal was to produce the show, and then having 10,000 people or having 1 million, of course, we want 1 million people to come and see the show, but it doesn't make such a difference, because as long as we're proud of what we've done, then it doesn't belong to us anymore. It doesn't depend on us. So we've tried to make the best show possible to make this country proud, and then it's not on us anymore.
How do you select what to dream about, what to have in mind, how to select what your goal should be? Like, in my head, it's something that should very well correspond to your own values, with what you really, really want from this life. That should become something like your goal. But then, how do you understand what is achievable? How do you understand what you put in this life plan? Like, I don't know. I can say, let's say next year, by the end of next year, I want to become the Ironman champion, right? I want to do this triathlon, the Ironman thing, and to lose 30 kg. That's super ambitious and even risky and even dangerous and even very, very, very unlikely that I will achieve this. So how do you understand what is this? What is achievable? What has this place in their life, in the life plan?
That's a great question. So first of all, if people have done that before you, it's really easy, to project yourself.
If someone else has already
if somebody, it's called the Bannister effect. So if somebody has done it, then you can do it quite easily. Then you can. That might seem crazy, but producing the first musical in history in this region was a big goal. So I had to put a goal even harder in order to make that goal easier. So what I do in 2025, so last year, I have run on the treadmill mostly 160 half marathons for the sole year of 2025. So 160 half marathons. It makes approximately one half marathon, so 21.1 kilometers of running every other day. So some of my friends say it's really hard to do one half marathon, and I've done 160. And the reasoning behind that is that every morning, or almost every morning, I was running something incredibly difficult. So the rest of the day was pretty easy. So when people said, the set is on fire, or there's a flood, or there's something, then you've done something impossible that only like 0.1% of the population can achieve every morning. So then producing a musical is relatively easy compared to what you've just done yesterday or this morning. So that helped me a lot personally.
Wow. So you intentionally created something like
crazy.
Something to do like crazy hard,
crazy, easy, crazier. So that then it's easy. And when somebody complains, it's not as hard as what you've just accomplished in the morning. Plus, it gives you confidence, and it's really important. First of all, you have to see if it's achievable. For example, you have to be realistic as well. If I want to play football like Zidane, it will never happen. I will never become Zidane, or I will never become Nadal or Federer. That's for sure. But if I love tennis, I can become a tennis agent or a businessman, and I can get closer to this industry. For example, I love to sing and I love to play the guitar. I'm not an amazing singer and I'm not an amazing guitarist, but this passion for music brought me to produce musical because this was the closest to where I could get to do something related to that industry. Maybe I could direct someday, but it's a tougher job that we can think. But So and what I told my singers on Once Upon a Time in Dubai, I said, if I had your talent as a singer, I would be on stage today, but I don't. Honestly, I'm not a singer. I'm not that good a singer. I can be the understudy if someone is sick at some point. But yes, so my skills and realistically what I could do was producing this, and it was exciting as well. So being a singer or being a football player was not achievable for me. But for example, running an Ironman, you can do it. I can do it, and I'm sure it requires a lot of discipline, a lot of training. But I think 0.001% of the population does it. But is it feasible? Yes, it's feasible, and it's not dangerous for your body. So, and the funny thing I learned running the half marathon is that, first of all, I did 160 half marathons. Every morning, I was scared. I was really scared, and I got a stomachache just before starting, which is crazy because if you meet me in the morning, you can say, Stephane, you've done that 2 days ago, 4 days ago, 6 days ago. But it's just like getting on stage for the musical, for example. Jacques Brel, which was the most famous singer from Belgium, all-time best singers, he used to say that he was throwing up before every concert. And the journalist said, but if you had 3 concerts, he said, I would throw up 3 times. And he was a superstar because if you're not scared, maybe you're not taking that seriously, and you're not talented enough. But just running those things, I was really, really scared before every half marathon. But after, it was good. And after 5 minutes, it's just like an interview or an HR interview. You're always scared for the first 3 minutes, and then it's straightforward.
Yeah, the scary part is to start.
Exactly.
To make the first step.
Yeah.
So basically, what you're saying is, if you want to achieve something extraordinary, start doing something even more extraordinary, so that extraordinary seems easier.
Yeah. For me, it helped. At least it helped.
Wow, that's a very interesting way to look at this. I have never heard about it.
I would put it differently. Producing a musical, it has a lot of unknown.
Yeah, absolutely.
Running on the treadmill, even 2 hours, it's really hard, but it's known. Like, you can go on a treadmill at any gym and you can, so it's hard. But it helped me, mastering my environment, and because producing this show was really a lot of unknowns in the equation.
Okay, so the goals, the life plan, taking risks, this is what helped you basically to build this entrepreneurial mindset,
And
right?
if I might add just one thing, on your life plan and on your bucket list, I think you're sending a clear message to the universe of what you want, whatever, if you believe in God or whatever you believe in. You just send a message. It's the Santa Claus, wish list. Basically, you say, this is what I want in my life. And whether you believe in something or not, it's really important, I think, to state correctly, why are you on this planet? What is your uniqueness? What can you bring on this planet? Are you here to be a football player, a singer, content creator? So you have to know exactly what you're made, so that you don't have any regret. Basically, when you kick the bucket, it's really important that you have accomplished your goals. So my conclusion for this life plan and everything is that life goes really fast and time flies, and we have to take that into consideration. And they've done a study, the nurse with people who are about to die, and thousands of people, replied this kind of survey, and the nurses said that 99% of the time, the people regret, some stuff, saying, I wanted to do this, I should have done that, and they didn't do what they were supposed to do. So my goal, I don't know if I'm going to live 10 more years, 20 more years, 50 more years, who knows, but the important part is that to do what we're meant to do is so important. And once again, it's unique to each of us.
Basically, this life planning or your visions, the way I interpret it for myself, this is something that you kind of imprint. You send the message to your mind, to the universe, and with that, with the modern language, you prompt yourself to think about this, right?
Thing, yeah.
You prompt yourself you to think about it. So you constantly remind yourself that this is my goals, this is what I want to do, this is what I want to achieve. Okay, this is amazing. So you kind of program yourself, but very good, without extra effort. Actually, like you
have to know how to write and to read, basically.
Yeah. Okay, great. What are, in your opinion and your experience, what are the other components of this entrepreneurial mindset of being an entrepreneur, being able to deal with unknowns, as you mentioned? Like you mentioned that in musical you have a lot of unknowns, but I'm sure in every single business that you've built, you've had multiple unknowns.
So one of my big takeaways from the companies I've sold is that you have to know where you're good and where you're not good. So basically, and so when you have the skills, it's great, but you cannot have all the skills. So when you're an entrepreneur, you want to do everything. You are a kind of a freak, a control freak, but it's really important to know your limitations. And then when you're not good, to either to hire the good persons or to get them as partners. But it's so important. So, for example, I consider myself a good salesman, a good marketing person, and I'm pretty good in networking. But I'm really bad at finance. I don't know, tax things. When it comes to numbers, I'm not good at all, and I know that. And I'm totally humble about that. And when I start a new company, then I'm gonna find these specific skills, either to hire those or to find the right person and to get them as my partners. And it's really, really important because if you want to do everything, you will fail at some point. So, and if you don't have the money to hire the people, then you have to give them equity, so they can give you their talent to complete where you're not good.
Out of curiosity, have you ever worked in a corporate environment, or you have always been the entrepreneur?
I have actually. I had 2 or 3 experiences, but I'm not made obviously for a corporate environment. I used to work for Warner Brothers as an intern when I was 20, and I resigned because we were with all the staff from Warner Brothers in France. We got invited to a special meeting by the CEO. I think it was 20 years ago or so. And the CEO, she says to us, guys, I have a good news and a bad news for you. The good news is that you have overperformed and you've done amazing, performances, sales performances. So that's great. The bad news is that it was in October, or I don't know, in November. You have to stop right now what you're doing, because if we sell too much, then Burbank, in Los Angeles, California, they're going to ask me much more next year. So you have basically to stop working, guys. And I was shocked. So I said, "Oh my God!" And it's like an American company. It's not a French company. So I was shocked, and I said, "My God!" So we're limited because we have limited ambitions, basically. And that was one of my experience.
So they told you don't do better because they will want us to be better next year.
Don't come to work, basically. Yeah. So that was one of my experience. And and I had a few others, but basically I'm better as an entrepreneur, for sure. There's a saying that goes, if you don't have dreams, you will be condemned to work for others' dreams the rest of your life.
Yeah, I remember when we were thinking about this episode, you told me something that actually stuck in my head, that how did you put it? That the employment or the corporate killed more dreams than anything else. Something like this. So, but at the same time, when we talk about, I don't know, risks, and when we talk about who do you want to become, let's imagine somebody, myself, I'm not 20, but let's imagine that I'm a 20-year-old guy, and I'm thinking what I want to do in my life, what do I want to become? And if I go online right now, I think 9 out of 10 will be all about don't trust corporate, don't trust companies, don't trust anybody, never work for anybody, work for yourself, work for your dreams, be an entrepreneur. If I'm a 20-year-old and I'm like, okay, that sounds about right. I don't want to be anyone's slave. I want to be a slave of my dreams. Good. But then I might find myself, A, in a very, very risk environment, B, in a very unknown universe, and C, which I think that a lot of people do not get, is I try to avoid 9 to 5, but I will find myself working 24/7. So, me as a 20-year-old guy, what do I do? How do I decide? How do I, like, should I try? What should I choose? How do I approach this?
First, if you like your work, you don't have to work a single day in your life.
Okay.
So if you're an entrepreneur, you're going to suffer for at least 2 years, maybe more. You will not get paid for a long time. But even if you fail, I think you have a tremendous, sense of accomplishment, because you have done everything for yourself. Your value has increased on the market. I know many, many people who failed as entrepreneurs and then got amazing, roles in big companies, because basically you've been in charge of everything in a company. So it's really valuable as an experience. And then you try. So if you've done everything you could, then there's no regret. But yes, of course, it's going to be not 9 to 5. There's going to be 5 to 9. That's for sure. But at least I think it's even more than that, because, for example, for Once Upon a Time in Dubai, myself and Papa, my executive producer, we've worked 7 days a week for 2.5 years. We didn't see it as a job or as a work. It's basically a passion. It's not always fun, and we have plenty of things to deal with. And when you're a producer, it's funny because you're the father of 140 people, and you have to deal with all sort of things which are incredible. But getting back to your question, and being an entrepreneur is tough, but I think it's the price of freedom as well. And it takes a lot of adversity to become a hero. If there's no adversity, there's not a hero. And if it was too easy, everybody would do it. So it's called the moat, I think, the moat. So you need to have some sort of difficulty in order to become valuable and to do something exceptional. So in my opinion, being an entrepreneur, it's really, really hard. I think it's easier now than it was a long time ago, because there's a lot of financing. If you want to start an AI company, there are billions of dollars on the market to help you, to finance you. When I finance company, because I'm also an angel investor, I like an entrepreneur to take risks as well, and to put money on the table, skin in the game, as they say. So we have aligned interests, but most of my fellow VCs, for example, they're okay with, you don't put anything on the table, we'll finance you for a seed round, we'll give you $3 million, enjoy yourself. And so basically you don't take as many risks as before. So no, I think it's the age of the entrepreneur, and it's great to start something. I think UAE is an amazing country for that. Because I worked for 2 years as the president of the French Tech. Everybody says, how is it to be an entrepreneur in Dubai or in the UAE? And I say that it's an entrepreneurial land without entrepreneurs. What I mean by that is that it's a place to launch so many businesses. And yet we don't have many entrepreneurs. When I compare to Europe, there are plenty of amazing businesses in Europe that we don't have yet in the UAE. So it's the moment to start businesses here. They're, I think, encouraging entrepreneurs here. I know it's riskier than France, for example, my country, because in France, for example, when you get fired, you have 2 full years of paid salary by the states, and you have plenty of mechanism to help you. This is not the case necessarily here, but here it's tax-free, so you have good advantages as well, and the life is amazing. So to get back to your questions, tough to be an entrepreneur. It's going to be a nightmare, but you work for yourself. So if it doesn't go well, you'll be the only one to pay the piper. And if you work for another company, you'll have maybe to pay the consequences for others' decisions, which is something else.
I think I have in my head, I'm building a puzzle right now. I'm collecting this. And I think talking to you right now, I'm collecting these pieces of the puzzle, and I think I'm connecting the dots. So what I hear and what I've learned so far is, the first is the part of the entrepreneurial mindset is daring to dream and landing these dreams into your goals and act on these goals. But then also is to, how do I put it? Like when you define your dream, it should be part of your identity, part of your life, part of your, as you put it, like why you are here, I mean, on earth.
The Japanese call it the ikigai.
Ikigai.
Yeah.
And then is basically you need to challenge yourself. I really loved what you mentioned that if you want to do a hard thing, do a harder one. Amazing. Like I think this is my takeaway for today for sure. Yeah. So basically, these are like the pieces of the puzzles that I'm trying to collect, and this is what I also see literally in you, like because all of this is your experience based. So you take your dreams, you dare to dream, you land. What was the very, very first step, like when you decided to become the entrepreneur, decided to build your own business? What was this moment of the time? So when you were, I would assume, like 20-something-year-old young guy, when you said, you know what? I'm doing this super mega hard challenge that will make something. What was that?
This is called the leap of faith, basically jumping without a net. I was 25 years old. And I've created I had created my first startup. It was called Staff in France. And I was still at home, with my parents, living at my parents' house. I used to have an allowance and the life was really nice for me. And the day I turned 25, my father, he just said, Stephane, you cannot continue like this. You started the company. This is not even a real company. You're not making money. You don't pay your rent and you're not going anywhere. So from now on, we will not give you anything. So you still have a bed at home if you need. You won't sleep in the streets of Paris, but that's it. So you have to find a way to make money quick. And that was like a turning point in my mind because if you don't make money, a lot of entrepreneurs, fake entrepreneurs think that they are entrepreneurs, but you have to make money. It is so important and money must be a driver. It's not a taboo, I think. Maybe in France it's a taboo, here it's not. But making money is so important because otherwise your business is not sustainable. So whatever you do, if you don't make money, unless you have billions on your account or you do a charity or something, it's not sustainable. So you have to make money and to keep it in mind. And as an investor, when I have someone in front of me who doesn't take money seriously, I don't invest because my goal is to make 10x on what you're doing. So if money is not important for you, then you're not taking my investment as something serious, and that doesn't deserve my investment. So money is a driver. And you asked me what was the Sputnik moment in my life, and the Sputnik moment or the turning point in my head was when my father, said, "You have a bed and that's it. You have to make money, my son."
Leap of faith.
Leap of faith. So basically I was with zero. I had like 1,000 euros on my account and I had to do something of my life. And that was great because otherwise I could have stayed, and I have plenty of friends who have an amazing life, comfortable life, but sometimes you need some uncertainty in order to do great things, and you have to challenge yourself. So that was my leap of faith.
Unbelievable. Okay, that's so powerful. That's so awesome. Let's do the final wrap up. So we have covered so many interesting things, exciting things. If we summarize, if you were to tell one final remark for everybody who's listening to us right now, who's watching to us right now, and for everybody who is, on the edge of starting to act on their dreams and on their goals. So what would you tell them?
First, you have to read. It's really important. We didn't talk about that, but it is so important to read because success leaves tracks. So you can follow people who've been really successful in the industry you want by reading their books, basically. So if you're into IT, you have so many books written by Bill Gates himself. If you're in finance, I'm reading right now The Principles by Ray Dalio. He's the guy who created the most important hedge fund in history, Blue Waters. So if you're in the movie industry, you can read many books. So reading is really important, and it gives you like a shortcut to success. First. Second, you have to find a mentor, and it's so easy. Most of the famous and successful people that you know will reply to you. They will not necessarily spend like 10 hours with you, but they will reply to you. They can give you advice. For me, it helped like to be a mentee for these people. So it's really important to find a mentor. And then it's basically, essentially what we said during this podcast. So to have dreams, it's important, but I believe everybody has dreams. Then to have the audacity of those dreams, so what we call daring. And then, so if you have dreams and you dared, then you have to be driven. And you have to be driven, it means sticking to your dreams. Otherwise, because there are so many, storms on the way. And if you want to go all the way, you need consistency. And consistency is to be driven, and to be obsessed. And if you have one goal, and it's not like just an illusion, it's something really important in your mind, you will reach it and you will do it. But first you have to write it down, and you have every morning to read it like a blessing, like something, however you want to call it, and it will happen. And please let us know if it happened to you. Write to Vlad, and I'd be more than happy to read if it worked for you, because for me it worked. And I'm so grateful for having found that a couple of years ago.
Unbelievable. That's so great. We made like the whole circle, and now we're back in the 3Ds.
Yeah.
So
dream, daring, and driven.
Amazing.
Thank you, Vlad.
so much. That's perfect. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for the
Unbelievable.
invitation.
Great conversation. Like as always, outside and in here. Perfect. Super happy to have you here. Thank you so much, Stephane.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for watching the Work in Progress podcast. We hope you enjoyed this episode. Let us know in the comments what is it you're dreaming about, and if the life plan works for you. We're curious to know. Hit subscribe, follow us on YouTube, join our community, follow us on Spotify, and see you in the next episode.